It's like firing a 4,000-pound bullet down the street and hope nothing bad happens. Pursuits are dangerous. Pursuits are very, very dangerous, and we need to find a way to mitigate that danger.
Just hit another vehicle.
And if it means letting the person get away, or if it means not chasing them at all, so be it.
Put your hands up! Because you're in a stolen truck!
It's a general sense of lawlessness.
They're backing up. They're trying to get away. Looks like they're going to play bumper cars.
Do not reach for anything.
Subject just got out on foot. Looks like he's going to carjack somebody at a residence.
With the current pursuit law, you could literally have someone steal a vehicle and drive through a school zone actively at 100 miles an hour back and forth, and no one will be able to do anything about that.
Passing the school.
And they know we cannot chase for certain crimes. They just hit the gas and keep going.
Okay, deactivate.
Stolen vehicles are a problem. We need a solution. Pursuits are not the solution to that.
A stolen car is not worth killing somebody or seriously injuring somebody. It's just not.
You have two arteries that feed blood to your brain. I only have one now.
Blacked out.
I never seen the vehicle. It didn't have its headlights on at 10 o'clock at night, and I never saw a police officer pursuing.
He's taking off from us.
I understand they don't want him to hurt others, but they are hurting others when they're driving away and they're not pursued. She had the best smile and she loved her dad a whole lot.
He's going faster than most other vehicles. He keeps passing. He's passed a couple of vehicles on shoulders and ran a few stop signs.
He's westbound in oncoming lanes, almost hit someone head on, passing 198.
Drivers trying to outrun the police are known to take extraordinary risks.
Turn the car off now!
And they take it back off southbound.
A 1990 report by the U.S. Department of Justice called pursuits possibly the most dangerous of all ordinary police activities. But what are the risks of not being allowed to chase for many crimes?
Disengage. Driver fled.
Going over the median.
Washington is wrestling with the best approach to police pursuits. Public backlash to the 2020 murder of George Floyd at the hands of police in Minneapolis sparked massive protests and reignited debate over police use of force incidents in Washington. New restrictions on police vehicle pursuits,
But unless we have PC for that occupant, we cannot pursue.
took effect in the summer of 2021.
Yeah, we're about out of gas, so if no one's going to work on it, we're just going to let it go.
Under House Bill 1054, part of the package of police reform bills passed in the first legislative session after a summer of outrage.
We are restricting the use of tear gas in vehicular pursuits, and we are beginning the profound process of demilitarizing our police.
Supporters of the limits on high-speed police chases say the 2021 law prioritizes human life and safety over property crimes. Some also argue reducing police pursuits is an important component of de-escalating police encounters overall.
Get out of the car right now. Get out of the car right now. Get out of the car. He's taking off from us.
Before the 2021 law change, police departments around the state were in charge of setting their own policies for high-speed chases. Some were very restrictive. Others gave broad authority to the officers involved and their supervisors.
Challenge coins from various departments, Officer of the Year, graduate of the FBI's National Executive Institute.
Advocates of a statewide approach argue too many didn't have adequate safeguards in place. Former King County Sheriff John Urquhart feels the statewide restriction on police chases was overdue.
Well, there needs to be restrictions of one sort or another because they are so dangerous. And I think most everybody realizes that and will accept that.
Urquhart's position on pursuits was shaped by an incident in 2016.
When I was the sheriff.
A shoplifting situation that turned into a high-speed chase.
The shoplift occurred at a big box store, less than $1,000 worth of merchandise. But it was a pursuit about 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon when there's a considerable amount of traffic on 2-lane roads and the speeds exceeded 90 miles an hour. The suspect eventually crossed over the center line and collided head-on with an oncoming pickup truck. People in the pickup truck were severely injured. The driver of the suspect vehicle was killed, and the other woman in the car received serious injuries as well. And so I looked at that, and within a few days, I changed the policy so that we would not be able to pursue shoplift suspects and other property crimes. It needed to be done, and it was very, very controversial, but I still think about that a lot.
Critics of the blanket policy banning pursuits for property crimes like auto theft argue the change has emboldened criminals.
And you're finding these vehicles are just going around the entire region and doing whatever they want.
In the state capital, Olympia, and the surrounding areas, Thurston County Sheriff Derek Sanders says the atmosphere on the street changed dramatically once word got out that police couldn't chase stolen cars or vehicles connected to burglaries.
Since 2021, we've seen about a 60% increase statewide in auto theft. Coincidence? That's also when the new pursuit law went into effect that did not allow police to chase stolen cars. So what we've really seen in Washington state is that the stolen car is the vessel to commit other crimes. So along with the auto theft, we've also seen the increase in burglary, the increase in thefts, property damage, things like that. So that's the best way I can kind of describe it, is these stolen cars, they don't leave us any leads. It didn't take long. Criminals catch on pretty quick. We have an auto theft from Olympia, an auto theft from Lacey, an auto theft from Lacey, an auto theft from County, an auto theft from Olympia, stolen Kia, stolen Kia, stolen Kia, stolen dump trailer from Tumwater. The list goes on and on. I mean, you can't even really pay attention to these lists anymore because it feels like it's every vehicle on the roadway. It's a general sense of lawlessness. And what you see, right, is that police are so overwhelmed with everything going on that you've probably noticed the little things are starting to not matter anymore. The speeding cars don't matter. The reckless vehicles don't matter. I mean, we're just trying to scramble to resolve the violent crime and the property crime as a result of all this. And so that's the issue. When you start dealing with situations where stolen cars are being used in homicides and all these other things, we don't even have time to focus on, someone speeding through my neighborhood. And that kind of thing.
Many law enforcement agencies didn't closely track attempts to elude before the pursuit law change, but several agencies have reported a spike in vehicles fleeing traffic stops since the restrictions took effect. Washington State Patrol records show 731 vehicles fled traffic stops in 2021, and more than 3,100 vehicles ran in 2022.
We probably find one a month, one every couple weeks. Now, I would say on average about 5 vehicles a day are fleeing law enforcement. Washington State is not missing high-speed police pursuits. Washington State is missing the possibility of a high-speed pursuit. We didn't chase everything before, but what you found is that most people pulled over because they didn't want to be chased. They didn't want to catch an additional felony because they knew that we would chase them. We would find them and put them in jail for running.
Okay, deactivate, and we'll continue to follow.
The impact of the pursuit restrictions on public safety remains a point of contention.
The policy changes that we adopted here in Washington State in 2021 have been effective in terms of their main goal. Their main goal was to reduce the fatalities associated with police pursuits.
Retired University of Washington statistics and sociology professor Martina Morris is a member of the Washington Coalition for Police Accountability, an organization that was very involved in the legislative push to restrict police pursuits, among other law enforcement tactics.
The risks are the collateral damage of pursuits, accidents, injuries, property damage, and of course, fatalities. Pursuits are dangerous for everybody, not just for the people involved in the pursuit. And the reason is because the kinds of accidents that happen in pursuits put a lot of other people at risk if you're at the wrong place at the wrong time.
Massive collision, 2-car collision.
Pursuit-related fatalities in recent years have included the drivers fleeing, their passengers, other drivers, pedestrian bystanders, or officers who were struck while deploying spike strips. Morris compiled an open-source database of pursuit fatalities based on information from media reports modeled after the Fatal Encounters Project. That data and the conclusions Morris has drawn from it have been widely referenced and hotly contested.
In the period after the police pursuit reform, fatalities dropped by almost 75%.
Some critics point out that official traffic safety statistics differ from the unofficial sources that Morris used to evaluate the law. And when Seattle University criminology professor Matthew Hickman was engaged by a state legislator to review the analysis from Morris, Hickman wrote that simply adding up the number of fatalities for a limited period before and after a law goes into effect won't support a meaningful conclusion about its effectiveness. According to Hickman, the analysis posted on the website lacks sufficient methodological rigor to draw any valid and reliable conclusions about the bill's impact on police pursuit fatalities. Hickman said the analysis should be disregarded in its entirety and should not be used to inform legislative decision-making. Meanwhile, Morris has disputed claims by law enforcement organizations that the change in pursuit authority has led to a spike in certain crimes.
Stolen vehicle rates are increasing. That's not just happening here in Washington state, it's happening nationwide.
Law enforcement agencies in Washington have reported a sharp rise in vehicle theft since high-speed chases were restricted in mid-2021.
This is a stolen vehicle.
According to the Washington Association of Sheriffs and Police Chiefs and the Puget Sound Auto Theft Task Force, there were roughly 26,500 vehicles stolen in Washington in 2020, about 31,000 vehicles stolen in 2021, and close to 47,000 vehicles stolen in Washington in 2022. States like New York and Florida, which have more than twice as many residents as Washington, had fewer cars stolen.
Our numbers have more than doubled. They've more than doubled, and that's not the case for the rest of the nation.
Sergeant Darren Moss is with the Pierce County Sheriff's Department and the Puget Sound Auto Theft Task Force, which covers King and Pierce counties, two of Washington's most heavily populated areas.
I get to edit all these videos.
Moss says there may be multiple factors behind the auto theft spike, from the rise in pandemic car values to viral videos that show how to steal certain Kias and Hondas. But many investigators say there are clear signs that pursuit restrictions are fueling the trend.
Yeah, I mean, the most infamous one is going to be the guy who called 911 saying, hey, the police are chasing me. They're not allowed to do that. They full well know what the rule changes are, and they're taking advantage of it. When vehicle pursuit laws changed in 2021, it made it where deputies and officers were no longer allowed to pursue when it was reasonable to do so or when it was safe for the community. We are not allowed to chase any vehicles for auto theft for any reason whatsoever. What that has done is kind of created an environment where suspects in crimes, as well as just people not abiding by speeding laws, are taking advantage of that, and they know we cannot chase for certain crimes. And if they think that's the only reason we're chasing them or trying to pull them over, they just hit the gas and keep going.
Hands! Put your hands up! Because you're in a stolen truck!
Sergeant Moss says suspects are not afraid to ram police vehicles if it will give them a clear path to flee the scene.
This is one of those examples of he took advantage of the way that the rules were written. So you see our deputy has his stop sticks ready because that's one of the only tools that we have right now to try to slow down a pursuit, but it's not 100% effective.
Get out of the car! You just ran over my foot. Get out of the car! Stop!
Most of the time they're using narcotics and they're passed out in the vehicle. It comes back stolen. We would position our vehicles in a way to trap that vehicle. When the person wakes up, they immediately turn the vehicle on. We have them at gunpoint, we're yelling at them to stop, and they continue to just ram our cars over and over. They'll ram a victim car next to it. They just continue to drive recklessly until they are able to squeeze their way out. And then you're looking at, okay, do we have enough to chase him? Did he assault any of us? Are we all okay? And if we have nothing to chase him for, that person continues driving the road now in their beat up vehicle, thinking we're right behind them, and maybe they're still high because we woke them up. And does that create an even bigger hazard now that there's no one attempting to follow and stop that vehicle.
At Maple Leaf Motors in Spanaway,
2x4s go in, get pinched, they're not coming in.
dealership owner Bill Heald says he's upgraded security more than once in the last couple of years because the dealership has been targeted more and more often. Sometimes staff arrived to find cars missing batteries.
We used to get hammered with batteries, 10, 12, 15 batteries a weekend.
Or worse, cars that had catalytic converters cut off.
If it had no cat, it would rumble so loud you wouldn't be able to hear yourself. And so, I mean, customer just goes, I ain't buying that car.
By mid-2022, a year after the law took effect,
The impact of this law on our community is unmeasurable. This needs to be changed immediately.
there was growing public backlash over the perceived inability of police to effectively address vehicle theft and other property crimes.
Police, open the door. Open the door. Open the door. Nope, he's putting in gear. He's going. Don't do it.
Like this ATM theft in Lakewood, where burglars were on the scene for several minutes busting open the machine and wound up using a truck to drag it. Lakewood police reportedly spotted them but couldn't chase them. Or this garage getaway in Richland, where police investigating a homicide and gun violation reportedly didn't have enough proof to chase the suspect who rammed into their vehicles. Stories detailing brazen robberies and desperate theft victims were a near constant feature of local news. In the spring of 2023, the Washington legislature rolled back some of the pursuit restrictions, lowering the evidentiary bar for a police chase from probable cause to reasonable suspicion. It gave police more leeway to chase suspects in cases involving violent crimes, rape, or vehicular assault. But the state policy still doesn't permit officers to pursue suspects in property crimes.
They did do a little fix and allowed reasonable suspicion for those violent felony crimes and sex crimes, which is a huge help for those specific crimes. But the crimes that they know will never be affected by the law, like auto theft and burglary, they're taking full advantage of that. So we're seeing a big increase where we have juvenile suspects stealing a vehicle and they crash into the front of a business. Normally it's marijuana shops and convenience stores, smoke shops. They know that as long as they get back into that vehicle and take off, we can't stop them. There's 100% incentive to get into a vehicle.
Looks like they're trying for other cars to steal.
I think that it is very politically expedient to point at a few things that you might be upset at and say, this is causing all of these other problems.
Democratic State Senator Yasmin Trudeau of Tacoma was not yet a member of the legislature when HB 1054 passed in 2021. But Trudeau did not support the partial rollback in 2023.
But to me, I have to vote no on this bill because this is a false choice to me. We can do better. We have the ability to do better. And as a person who's been a victim of crime, I stand with all victims.
What I've been hearing from my constituents, I would say, are in two different camps. One camp has had strong concerns about where the legislature might be going in terms of restricting law enforcement's ability to do their job. And the other camp of folks are areas that have been historically over-policed.
Trudeau sees several key issues affecting the criminal justice system that may be impacting crime rates.
As an attorney, we have touch points and choke points throughout the system that are impacting our ability to really ensure community safety.
According to Trudeau, some of the choke points likely contributing to crime rates include understaffed police departments, a lack of space at city and county jails, and a shortage of public defenders that limits the ability of prosecutors to file charges in new cases.
If you look at the system actually doesn't have the capacity. Kitsap County is finding that the courts are saying we don't have the capacity to prosecute property crimes because we don't have enough public defenders. So we can't continue a case because when someone commits a crime, they have a constitutional right to counsel, right? That's a problem. That has nothing to do with pursuits or any specific law enforcement reform whatsoever. There are areas of Tacoma that lack adequate infrastructure, like sidewalks, like areas where kids are forced to play in the street. And I think that's where we have to have a balance on how dangerous pursuits are to the general public.
Still northbound on 40th Avenue, passing my school.
The Tacoma senator says she hasn't seen convincing data that allowing more police pursuits would be worth the risk.
I'd never seen the vehicle. I was making my left turn.
Tony Pallas is an example of the risks. He was nearly paralyzed when a driver trying to outrun police T-boned his truck near the Tacoma Mall in 2018.
After the accident, apparently I was borderline paralyzed. I've got a broken neck. I've got my C5 and C6 fused together. I've got a blocked artery in my neck. You have two arteries that feed blood to your brain. I only have one now. They were real concerned for the first year that that blood clot was going to come loose and go into my brain, and it would have been an instant stroke. I've got some nerve damage. My right arm, on the inside of my right arm and the inside of my right leg were numb.
According to Pallas, the pursuit stemmed from a traffic violation.
The vehicle did not pull over and took off at a high rate of speed, and they gave chase. It ran a red light and turned its headlights off. This accident happened at 10 o'clock at night right out in front of the Tacoma Mall. I must have pulled right out in front of them.
He received a $1.25 million settlement from the city of Tacoma over the incident, which his attorneys said was a violation of the Tacoma Police Department's vehicle pursuit policy.
Once the car turned its headlights off and started running red lights, I would think that that would not risk that.
Supporters of restoring the pre-2021 pursuit authority for police argue that banning chases for property crimes and vehicle theft has brought new dangers. How do you measure the risk of allowing suspects to flee or flee multiple times?
My 12-year-old daughter, Mackley, and her best friend, Kathleen, are victims of the no vehicular pursuit law.
This is the last family picture I'll have of them. She is my fourth daughter, and she was 12 when she was hit. She was just starting to blossom and turn into that teenager. She just loved everybody, and everybody loved her. Everybody thought that she was their best friend. She had the best smile, and she loved her dad a whole lot.
Amber Goldade says the chain of events that led to her daughter's death and left her young friend gravely injured were a direct result of the ban on pursuits for stolen vehicles.
My 12-year-old daughter, Immaculée, was walking down the road on 104th, off the side, her and her friend, and a truck came up behind them and hit them. And Immaculée was killed instantly, and Kathleen was thrown on the other side of the ditch, and she survived, luckily. He was involved in a robbery a couple weeks prior to my daughter's death, and he robbed a lawn care company. And when he was leaving the company, he was followed by police, but the police could not pursue him. And then he went back to that same lawn care company the morning of January 15th and stole a vehicle, a large landscaping truck from that company. And she was hit at 10:30 in the morning. He was high on drugs. If he was able to be pursued, he could have been, caught and put in jail. But the police were not able to pursue him. And so he knew this, and he ran, and he knew he wasn't going to go to jail that day.
Goldade wants a complete reversal of the 2021 pursuit restrictions. She did not support the partial rollback in 2023 because it wouldn't have made a difference in what happened to Immaculée.
Because they just know they can get in their vehicle and drive away. There's no consequences.
State Representative Eric Robertson was Republican co-sponsor on a bill from Democratic Representative Alicia Rule, which would have restored the authority of police to pursue vehicles if they had reasonable suspicion of any crime. It did not advance.
The policies have failed us. They've failed to keep Washington safe. All you have to do is turn on the morning news, and you're going to see day after day the stolen cars, the smash and grabs, the organized crime sprees where people are fleeing in cars, and the law enforcement community's hands are tied.
You know, if the legislator really wants to commit down this road, it's fine, right? We can always adapt, but you need to provide a solution. And one of the solutions I said is, you guys have a state patrol agency that owns airplanes. Buy 10 more and put one in every single region of the state. Have an air unit that's flying around all the time. Then we can resolve all this. If you're gonna take away this tool that has helped us capture a lot of bad people, then give us something else. Fund something else. Give us an alternative. Right now there isn't one.
You know, the city of Tacoma has had a restrictive pursuit policy well before state law changed. And I think because the political narrative tends to win the day, many folks did not even know that.
Senator Trudeau says technology may provide alternatives to police pursuits in tracking suspects, like vehicle-launched GPS trackers.
I supported a bill that looked at equipping law enforcement with strategies and tools that we've seen as more effective than actually a high-speed chase. What I'm hearing from law enforcement and what I'm hearing from impacted community members, the need is the message for folks to understand that they will be caught if they commit a crime. Folks are not gonna run if they think that we've got a geolocation tag on them. And if they do, they know that they're gonna get caught. Now, the resources and the technology, I think we could have deployed some of that right away.
The Washington Traffic Safety Commission is the official repository of traffic incident and motor vehicle fatalities in the state. But Research Director Stacy Hoff says the database isn't designed to track vehicle pursuits or pursuit-related fatalities. And because of the way the information is categorized, it won't reflect them all. Hoff says the open source media report database, which Martina Morris maintains, will have incidents that don't appear in state data. And the state data will have incidents which don't appear in the unofficial database. According to Hoff, there is no official pursuit incident database, either at the state or national level. Other researchers, such as Professor Hickman, say there are many potential factors that may be involved in both crime trends and pursuit-related fatalities, which may not have been considered as alternative explanations by supporters or opponents of the pursuit law change. And without more study in much finer detail, Hickman says you can't make definitive claims about the impact of the law.
I'll start by just acknowledging, as I think everyone does, that the data have some limitations. But I think despite this, there are some conclusions that we can draw. And the first one is just that pursuits are dangerous. There are risks associated with pursuits, there are benefits. We need to have data on what those risks are and what the benefits are to talk about what that balance actually is. So if we want an evidence-based policy, yes, we absolutely need to collect these data. So I agree that we need it, but I don't agree that you can't say anything because we don't have it.
We're talking about actual people's lives being affected. I used to have 300 people that had to figure out how they got to work, how they replaced their vehicle that was stolen, and now I have 1,000. That's a big number, that's a big jump. What are we doing to address those problems? Honestly, I could talk to you about numbers and stuff, but go and ask the bad guy who we arrest, hey man, why'd you do that? Because you guys can't chase me. They will tell us that. They tell us over and over again, well, I know you guys can't chase, that's why I just keep stealing cars.